107. Okay. So, Bismillah. Okay. So in the last section, at the end of 105, we mentioned that there must be five things for you to for fasting to be wajib upon you. It was at the end of 105. We mentioned the person must have Islam, they must be mukallaf, taklif, they must have itaqa, they must have the physical ability to fast, siha, they must be healthy and not ill, and iqama, they must be a resident and not traveling. One thing I didn't mention in the last lesson was that if you are traveling, say you're traveling today and you're going to Joburg, you can only break your fast if you depart before Fajr. So if you depart on the journey after Fajr, you have to fast for that day. But if you go to Joburg, say for like 2 days, the second day you'd be traveling from before Fajr. Okay, so so that's out inshallah. You fly today from here to Joburg. You're gonna fly for 2 days. So you're gonna fly, stay there 2 days, fly back. So the whole journey you're going to be musafir because you're flying more than 81 kilometers and you're staying for less than 3 days, and so the whole time you're musafir. But on the first day you don't break your fast because you left after Fajr. Whereas the second day you'll be you'll be a traveler from before Fajr. Makes sense. The main thing is just you must be a traveler before Fajr to break your fast. Okay. Then we mentioned the arkan of fasting. The arkan of fasting was the niyyah. The niyyah likulli yawmin fil fard is the niyyah to have at every day you must have the niyyah. What is the alternative Maliki view I gave you? The Maliki view was you can make one niyyah for the month. One niyyah for the month. So make a niyyah inshallah. You make it now. Make a niyyah to fast for the whole month. Lillahi ta'ala. And then if you maybe didn't think about it completely, then you are covered for the month. But in the Shafi view, you make it every night, and that just means that you know that you're fasting the next day. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. If there's interruption in the month, I'm not too familiar about the details of the Maliki mother, but I would say that if there's interruption, just make the niyyah again. Say you have Hayd, for example, and I'm saying I'm not too familiar about the details of the Maliki view. I mean, I know the views you can make the niyyah for the month. If there's an interruption, just make the niyyah again for safety, inshallah ta'ala. But remember again, the niyyah is not something that is you have to say it. It's not something that you might just know that you're fasting the next day. That's all the niyyah is, that you know that you're fasting the next day. It's not something that has to be said. Bismillah. Okay. We might get into this book, but I didn't see the chapter on the breaking of the fast. One of the things on the breaking of the fast in the Shafi madhab is with regard to phlegm. With regard to, remember the end of the cavity is at the letter Ha. So the letter Ha here is the end of your cavity. So what happens is that if you bring something up from from into your mouth and swallow it again, in the Shafi madhab you break your fast. In the Shafi madhab you break your fast. But in the Hanafi madhab you don't break your fast. And so what we advise is, obviously if you can spit out things is fine, but just practice according to the Hanafi madhab. Otherwise, all time you're going to worry, did I bring something up? Did I swallow it? All of those things. So don't, so just practice the Hanafi madhab, inshallah ta'ala, to create ease in your life for that. But when's your high going to end? It's gonna end in the morning. Yeah, well, I think you should obviously, if you're ending your haid, you should try to wash before Fajr. We say it's not possible to wash before Fajr. So generally speaking, you must be in a state where you're out of haid. I must check now in terms of normal janaba. Let's call normal janaba when a man and wife sleep together, and then they wake up, for example, and then the fast has started. In normal janaba, it's permissible for you to do that, and you can make a ghusl even while fasting, and that's permissible. As for haid, I must just double check, but my understanding is that you must be free. You must be free of haid, and you must have washed before your fasting commences. I must check if you can commence your fasting in a state of haid and then not haid, your bleeding has stopped, but you haven't washed yet. Inshallah, let me check it, inshallah. But the general thing is that if your haid ends, you must ghusl and then you basically in a state of purity for you to fast. Bismillah.
So, obviously, when you're that angle, you can stop eating. But I heard that if you are holding the glass in your hand, so you didn't complete drinking it, and that angle, so because you're holding for that kinship, that break.
Not entirely really. So the ayah says وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنُوا الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْأَسْوَدِ. The ayah says that you can eat and drink until the black thread becomes clear from the white thread. So what does that mean, first of all? What's the black thread and the white thread? Yeah, so the black thread is like referring to the night, and the white thread is like the first light. So this is true dawn, true dawn. So the ayah speaks about basically eating and drinking until true dawn. So what happens is when true dawn is established, one should stop eating and drinking. And so, for example, we often we don't witness true dawn. We calculate it, which is not as strong as witnessing it. But anyway, we calculate true dawn, which is a difficult thing to calculate, but we calculate true dawn, we approximate it, and then the adhan goes off based on that approximation. So, so if we're taking that as true dawn, when it reaches there, one should stop eating. You know what I mean? Because some people say, like, you can do it until the end of the adhan, and that's not, I don't know where it comes from. But when the adhan sounds, one should stop eating at the very latest. Ideally, you should at least leave a minute or two. It doesn't have to be like 15 minutes, but maybe like a minute or two, inshallah, you can stop you can check the calendar and stop like at 1 or 2 minutes before, just to be safe. But if you are eating and the adhan goes, you should stop eating. Yeah. So, so I'm saying if you wake up late and then you can basically eat and say you're eating and drinking, if you have that, then you can stop. No. Yeah, but it's also it's an approximation, but I mean it's okay.
When the ban is on both people from other countries sitting and still carrying on eating,
Oh.
and the other British still eating.
In Makkah, you see all sorts of things. So what happens in Makkah is not the evidence in the Sharia. No. Unless there are alternative views, I mean, I don't know of any alternative views, I can check inshallah. But the default view is that when the true dawn comes and then fasting begins, it's almost like when you end your fast, when the sun sets. Are you with me? So it's the same thing, really. No.
And all the sun and the handles of the still dawn.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is we don't witness true dawn, generally speaking. None of us go outside, look at the roof and go see where true dawn is. We work it on a calendar. So summer or winter, we'll just use the calendar and the adhan or the radio. People always like think the radio is the most accurate. Some people like hear the adhan outside, but I'm still looking for the radio. No. So summer or winter, so it's a question about when the fasting commences. It'll commence at true dawn, so we'll check the calendar, we'll listen for the adhan. Inshallah, none of us, I would imagine, ever has seen true dawn or look for true dawn or goes outside. And it'll be difficult to see also because we live in a very bright city and you can't see the lights and all of those things. So one would just use the calendar. If perhaps you're 8 and the adhan was going, inshallah, it's fine. Inshallah, it's not going to be a major issue, but one should make it the law basically. So if you did it before, it's okay. It's not you don't have to make qada of the day, but one going forward, one should try to end before the adhan begins. One should end before the adhan begins. Yeah. Okay, with regard to vomiting, if you vomit, there's two types of vomiting. The one vomiting is induced vomiting, and the one is involuntary vomiting. So induced vomiting will break your fast. If it's not induced, so induced means you put your finger in your throat and make yourself vomit. And if it's a normal vomit, and then you don't break your fast unless you swallow some of it, which you normally won't do. But if you vomit normally, it's fine. Inshallah. Auntie. Auntie, okay? No. Okay. So make people nauseous. Yeah. Okay. Al-Fajr clock. It's not better to follow an Al-Fajr clock for breaking fast since I don't know what an Al-Fajr clock is, but it's essentially all the clocks, all the apps, all the calendars are based on calculation. You see the difference with regard to, let me talk about sunset and true dawn. Sunset is something mathematical. You with me? It's like you know the moment, can you work out mathematically when the sun disk is going to go beneath the horizon? You can do it with very mathematical precision. You with me? Like if you're going to say a sea point and you're going to time it and look at the calendar, it's going to be like exactly to the minute because it's very mathematical. Whereas true dawn is not so mathematical because it's based on atmospheric conditions. So if you're truly going to look and maybe it's a different type of day, you're going to sometimes see it at this time and that time. And so therefore I'm saying the calculation is an approximation for true dawn, but not an approximation so much really for sunset. No. Okay. So yeah. Okay, let's get on inshallah ta'ala, and we can do more questions as it comes up, inshallah. So we're on 107. Okay, so Bismillah, who's reading? You guys must know by now, like I was losing the reading. Just know who's reading. Yeah, we can read inshallah. So number 6, a child of 7 is ordered to fast and at 10 beaten for not fasting, not severely, but so to discipline the child and not more than 3 blows. I don't really follow that. Anyway, I know where that footnote comes from. The footnote comes from an analogy on the hadith on salah. There's a hadith on salah that says that you should instruct your child to make salah at 7, and if you need to, you must give your child a hiding if you don't make salah by 10. So what some scholars have done is that they've made an analogy on that to fasting. But there's no hadith that says this. And so each parent is different, but my parenting approach is my children don't fast before they're mukallaf. Yeah. That's my own parenting style. My children don't fast before they're mukallaf. I tell them break the fast. Because they go crazy, man. You know, they go timaka, they just, you know, if you have like a few children and they all like wake up at suhoor and then I can't have them timaka for a month. It's like a tough enough month. So I will like let them have breakfast and you can pretend fast for the day and so until you mukallaf and then you mukallaf and then you fast. And I don't think there's nothing in the Sharia that says that a child has to fast, or I'm saying in hadith that the child has to fast, nor that you have to beat your child to fast. That is not with regard to fasting. This is an analogy people have taken from salah, but I believe salah and fasting are very different. whereas salah is habitual, fasting is not habitual. What I mean by that, salah, you're trying to instill a habit in the child. So that's why from 7 to 10, you instill a habit. Fasting itself is not a habit. Fasting is just you do it when it's like Umrah and Hajj, when the time comes, you do it. So fasting is not like a habit that you build up. Like if I didn't fast when I was 8, I can't fast when I'm 14. No, when you're 14, you fast. And so and this my personal, I'm saying it's other people have other views. Other people, they can children fast from 7, 8, 9. I don't do that at all. You must be mukallaf and you can fast all month. No. You guys agree with me or disagree? You can disagree also, it's okay. No. No, no, they fight with me. They want to fast. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, they want to fast. I said, no, you can't fast. Eat this now. Drink now. Because sometimes their bodies are not ready for it. They may be 9 years old. They think they can do it. Their bodies are not ready for it. They must go to school all day. They think they can. And like a month is going to weigh them down. And like, why are they doing it? They're not mukallaf. You see what the shurut was? Taklif. They're not mukallaf. And so why? So at most, maybe I'll give them like one day you can fast now and then, if they're lucky. You know what I mean? But no, they beg me to fast. I said, no, no, clear mukallaf and you can fast. So we do like a pretend fast for a while. The small kids are after first, and then they get a bit bigger. Okay, you have breakfast and you fast for breakfast, and so on. Now, which age do you guys start fasting? Who fasted here from before 10? Wow, Rob. Like a whole month. MashaAllah, you guys are pious, no?
Maulana?
Come back to me when you have children, inshallah ta'ala. When you have so 3, 4 kids, and you come back to me, you tell me, Maulana, you're right or no, you're wrong. Bismillah.
I wanted to just ask, I heard once from another Maulana that there's sometimes if a child is baligh and they're not mukallaf, then they say for salah they are required to make salah. I don't know if that's true, and then if it is it the same? Could it then be the same for fasting?
When is a child baligh not mukallaf?
So they said the way he explained it was that when they have an understanding of what the purpose of the ibadah is, and when they know how to perform it, so like they can concentrate and things
Yeah.
like that.
That's called tamyiz. So what happens is that there's a difference in tamyiz and mukallaf. So tamyiz means a person can, they're basically independent, but tamyiz is about 7 years old. You can clean yourself in the bathroom, you can feed yourself, you can know the basics between right and wrong. And so tamyiz is when you start implementing parts of the Sharia. So teaching him wudu, teaching to make salah, the movements, all of those things, read Quran, and so on. And so in that case, in tamyiz, they can start fulfilling the actions of the Sharia. And so some ulama would say it's good, as it says here, at Tamyiz, 7 years old, let them fast. I have a different approach. And so I'm not saying my approach is like the right approach. I'm saying my approach is my approach, and it's not wrong. You with me? Because there's no evidence to say that the child has to fast or even is recommended to fast before they baligh. If there is, and if I see it, then I'll change my mind, inshallah. I'm saying there's evidence for salah. You ask me, it's evidence for salah. I'm saying the analogy, taking the analogy from salah to fasting, that is a scholarly ijtihad. Ijtihad means like a scholarly opinion. People can take the analogy and apply it to fasting. I don't take the analogy from salah to fasting. I believe it to be fundamentally different ibadat. And there's a reason why the hadith came for salah, because salah is habit forming, and you want to form the right habits with the child when they are young. So if some other scholar had a different opinion, that's the in the right to have a different opinion, and I'd understand why they have a different opinion, because they're making the analogy of salah, basically, and so they make it as part of babu tarbiyah. No. But mashallah, all of you got good tarbiyah, alhamdulillah, you all fasted from small children, alhamdulillah. Yeah. No, 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 you're only from mukallaf, inshallah. But also all of you fasted in winter. You guys cheated the system. You're all young ones in the middle of winter. Oh, the middle of winter, actually, most of you short days, no wonder. Wait till we have summer and we have 16-hour days, and then you're gonna tell me. Your 9-year-olds will die there. No. Okay, let me pause here. All I'm just saying is sometimes you read something in a book, you must know what the hukm of that is. It says here a child is ordered to fast at 7 and beaten at 10. You must understand where that comes from. So what I'm saying is it doesn't come directly from a hadith because the hadith belongs in the bab of salah. It's an extrapolation and extension to fasting. And so that makes it a scholarly opinion which of some scholars which you can follow, or you can choose not to follow as well. No scholar tells you it is wajib for a child to fast before they are mukallaf. In fact, the book just told us now that it only becomes wajib when, it says here, it only becomes wajib when it's when they have taklif. Shurutu wujub, it's only wajib when they have taklif. And so all we are saying here is that there might be a different approach from different scholars. Whatever approach you take, realize it's not wajib. You with me? Before the child is mukallaf, not salah is wajib, not fasting is wajib, nothing is wajib upon the child. And so you can take a bab. So if someone says, no, from the bab of tarbiyah, children should fast, they must get used to it, then they're fine, they can have his opinion. There's no issue with that. If I feel that, or someone else feels that, no, it's fasting is too hard, it's summer, the child is 9 years old, and it's, 16-hour days, and the constitution can't manage it, and that's fine as well. There's no issue with it. And so studying fiqh in second year is trying to sort of discerning between, here's something in the text, where does it come from, and what is the attached ruling? Is it a wajib thing? Is it a sunnah thing? How do I navigate it? No. So I think this is what we're trying to do. And I think sometimes as, it's like a strange thing, females generally are more disposed to following authority. So females generally are more disposed to following authority. So when a female hears something, it becomes very weighty. Like males don't like, okay. Like a male will just read, they'll tell these things, wajib, they'll just won't worry. They won't do it and they won't just worry about not doing it. But generally I find in my experience a female, like because you're more attuned to following authority, when you read something within religious authority, it weighs a lot on you. You go with me? And if you don't understand the ruling of it and the category of it, you can be placing an unnecessary weight of yourself because you don't understand where this comes from in terms of evidence, you don't understand the rulings. And so everything a year now becomes like, oh, that's law and law and law and law and law, until you become overburdened with law that isn't actually law. And so in second year, what we do is we try to look at what is the actual law and what is like the extras. You have the extras which you can and choose to do or not to do. So this is going to be one of them, inshallah. No. They're all at the height now. No, the one was like 2 or 3 months later. Yeah. But they actually both of them got their height now in this year past. But the one who got their height second, she started fasting, but then the younger one had a height at the beginning. So the older one had a fard fast before the younger one. So it balanced out. That's too complicated for you, in fact. No, so yeah, so it's sure. Yeah. I'm working hard now in the mornings. I must be like, because my wife is also like a morning person. So in the morning, I'm on duty like fully. I must make the full breakfast and smoothies every morning, and I'm also late, I'm late. So I will make the breakfast, the egg, and I'll wake up the kid, like, you have 6 minutes, eat, drink. You have 1 minute. So this is me in the morning, like every morning. Yeah, I only get up like maybe 12 minutes before to make it like, then I have to start make breakfast everybody and make them eat quickly. No, but I'm trying, inshallah. Inshallah. Yeah. No. I had it when I got married to my wife. You see, my whole life, my sister and I, we had to wash dishes growing up. We alternate. So I'm like traumatized with dishes. So when I got married to my wife, I told my wife, I will help you with anything. I will mop the floor, whatever I want, but I don't want to wash dishes. So in my marriage, I don't wash dishes. I do anything else, but don't wash dishes. I'll buy a dishwasher. Don't like just don't give me dishes. I don't do dishes now. That's my like home policy. No, alhamdulillah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. But my wife has the same opinion on fasting. That's why both of us don't let our children fast. She helps me force them to break the fast. No. Okay. Again, you might hear other opinions. Understand that the opinion doesn't come directly from a hadith. Understand that. Okay. Now, the next footnote is with regard to one taqa who is able to, who should fast. One is capable of bearing the fast. Some taqa means someone who, if you look at the foot on top here, or itaqa means like ability, power. One is capable of bearing the fast. Someone whom fasting exhausts because of advanced years or having an illness from which he is unlikely to recover are not required to fast. And I would make analogy on this for a young child as well, because often if you make a child fast too young, you're going to compromise the system to some degree. Possibly, I'm not saying definitely, but possibly a child can be anemic or can be dull blooded, and now you force them to fast in summer when they don't have to. The Sharia doesn't ever cause harm. The Sharia is very balanced in its approach. Then illness, siha is health, and marad is illness. The illness that permits not fasting, being that which fasting would worsen, delay recovery from, or cause considerable harm with. So any illness that's going to become worse, you don't have to fast. Or if the recovery is going to be delayed, you don't have to fast. Or it's going to harm you, you don't have to fast. The same dispensation applying to someone who needs to take medicine during the day that breaks the fast, that he cannot delay until the night. So if you have to take medication during the day, and then you don't have to fast. No. And the last one is traveling here. It is permissible not to fast when traveling, even when the intention to fast has been made the night before, provided the journey is at least 80.64, 81 kilometers one way, and that one leaves town before dawn. If one leaves after dawn, one is not entitled to omit the fast. It is preferable for travelers not to fast if fasting would harm them, though if not, then fasting is better. No. So if you do force fast and cause you harm, I think it cause significant. I don't think you'll be, yeah, like in the Sharia, one of the principles is don't harm yourself. And so one really shouldn't fast if it's going to harm yourself. Some of the old people struggle with this. Many old people actually die from this. Some old people, they've been fasting their whole life and they get to a stage where they actually physically can't fast and shouldn't fast. But then they keep fasting because it's just so habitual. And it can lead often to greater illness, greater weakness. None of them even die from it. Inshallah, they won't be punished for it. But I'm saying the Sharia is don't harm yourself. No.
And you're not able to fast, and you don't know how long you take the medication, you must stop the
If it's an illness which is chronic, that doesn't have like an end in sight, and that you just pay fidya. No. But if it's non-chronic, meaning what is like just for now, and then you have to pay your days back and don't pay the fidya. You just pay your days back. No. 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 So what's the question? I think it's on a very case-by-case basis. So if auntie feels, if you don't have any illness, but you just feel in terms of weakness, you must do. Yeah, I think if it's manageable fatigue and manageable heat, one should fast. I think we all have some degree of fatigue and heat and so on. So it's a very personal thing. It's just sometimes one does become to an age where it actually going to harm you to fast, and then one shouldn't fast. But the best thing is just to, if you're unsure, is to ask a Muslim doctor and say, because it's a medical thing, ask a Muslim doctor and say, this is, check me up and tell me if I'm going to fast or not. No, no, you can disagree until no problem, inshallah. MashaAllah. Sure. That's even before the fiqh. The fiqh book says 7. The fiqh book says until before the fiqh, MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's do the first one. Bismillah, I was reading. Bismillah. Okay, let's pause, inshallah. Okay. So now what we're doing here is we're speaking about, okay, wayajibu. Let's read inshallah. Wayajibu. What's yajibu mean again? What's wajib? Yajibu? Wajib. Compulsory. Yajibu is the verb for wajib. Yajibu is the verb for wajib. So what does wajib mean? Compulsory. Wayajibu ma'al qada. What does ma'a mean? With al-qada, what's al-qada mean? A makeup. Qada is like a makeup fast, al-qada. So here it's saying something is compulsory with making qada. So along with qada, something else is compulsory. Okay. وَيَجِبُ مَعَ الْقَضَى, and is compulsory with qada لِلصَّوْمِ. So along, say for example, you break your fast one day intentionally. You break your fast one day intentionally. Do you have to make qada of that? Do you have to make qada of it? Yes, you have to. You have to make qada. So here it's saying a situation where you must make qada plus something else. Qada plus something else. Now, okay, let me explain what it is. It's speaking here about someone who has sexual intercourse during their fast, and so then that person there has to pay a penalty. What's the penalty? If someone has sexual intercourse intentionally in Ramadan during the day, what is the penalty? They must fast for 2 months consecutively. They must fast for 2 months consecutively. And I think after, if they can't do that, then they must, I think, free a slave. If they can't do that, then they must feed 60 people. No. So who of you heard that if you break your fast, you must fast for 60 days? 2 of you. And the rest of you can just break your fast. 10 days, okay. Now, so breaking your fast is breaking your fast in different ways. You with me? So if you break your fast with food and drink, there is no additional penalty. All you have to do is you have to make up the day. It's still haram, it's still a sin, you're going to face the Qiyamah, you're going to face Allah, but there's no other payment you must do if you break your fast intentionally. They call in Cape Town, eat after the back. When you break your fast intentionally, and then by eating and drinking, and then there's no kafara. Kafara means an expiation, an extra penalty, an expiation penalty. However, if someone has, it must be sexual intercourse. Intercourse means there must be entry of the male private part into the female. In that case, there is a kafara. What's kafara again? Expiation is a penalty. And the penalty is what? 2 months of consecutive fasting, and if you can't do that, if you can't do that, feed 60 people, like 60 meals, basically, you must feed. But that penalty only in the Shafi madhab only applies to the man, not the woman. Okay. So if the man, husband and wife sleep together, then the woman has no penalty, only the man has a penalty. No. But it's both haram, it's all haram. Eating and drinking while you're fasting is haram. Having sexual intercourse is haram in the day. It's all like sinful and haram. We're just speaking about what requires a penalty and doesn't require a penalty. This is inshallah. وَيَجِبُ, it is wajib. مَعَ الْقَضَاء, along with the makeup للصوم, to fast. What is wajib? The fa'il here is going to be al-kafaratul udhma. Kafara means, what's kafara mean? Expiation. Udhma means like the great expiation, like the big expiation, because this is one of the biggest expiations that there are. وَتَعْزِيرُ, ta'zir means discretionary punishment. Discretionary punishment basically is that in certain things Allah tells you the punishment, in other things Allah gives the judge the power to administer punishment. So here Allah tells you, you must, if a male and female have intercourse, for the male, he gets the kafaratul uzma, he must do the 2 months, plus he can get a ta'zir from the judge. The judge can say, okay, we also give you this extra punishment as well. Now, ala, upon who must get this? Man afsada sawmahu fi Ramadan, the one that afsada, spoils his fast in Ramadan, fi Ramadan, yawman kamilan, a complete day, like one day, a complete day. How? Bijima'in tamin. Jima means intercourse, tam means complete. When they say what is complete intercourse, it's if the head of the male private part enters into the female, that is jima'in tamin. Athimin bihi lissawm. Athimin, sinning via it, lissawm, for fasting. Okay, let's read the footnote as well. I mean, let's read the translation. It will also maybe help you understand. It's a bit difficult sentence. It says here, major kafara, expiation, and specified punishment, ta'zir, are compulsory, yajibu, together with making up the fast, ma'al qada'i sawm. For who? For he who, can say he who, not she who, he who breaks his fast of Ramadan a complete day by having complete intercourse in which he becomes a sinner in his fast. Now, it says here, the legal occasion of the offense is the particular day of fasting, so that if it were committed on 2 separate days, 2 separate expiations would be necessary. So what does it mean here? If they did it on a Monday and a Tuesday, Monday 60 days, Tuesday 60 days. Though if that was committed twice in one day, there'd only be 1 expiation. If they slept together twice in one day, it's only 160 days. The expiation consists of freeing a sound Muslim slave, okay, or if not, then to fast the two consecutive days, the 2 consecutive months. So I got wrong. It's first a slave, then the 2 months. If this is not possible, then the expiation is to feed 60 poor persons, 509 grams of food to each poor person. If one is unable to do this, the expiation remains as unperformed obligation upon the person concerned. The woman with whom intercourse is performed is not obliged to expiate it. Okay. Punishment is only with Allah. Remember, punishment, we can only say liable. Oh, like the ta'zir. No, not even know. Okay. So why the discrepancy? Again, we go back to what is the evidence for this? The evidence for this is actually a funny story. I don't know it's funny, but maybe you find funny. It's like a cute story, actually. Because this man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he says he couldn't help himself. He was fasting, but then he saw his wife and then he slept with her. He couldn't control himself. And then the Prophet ﷺ says, but he's a poor man. And the Prophet says, you must free a slave. He's like, free a slave? I'm like, almost a slave myself. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have any money to free a slave. Then the Prophet says, okay, you must fast 2 months. The man says, I can't even manage Ramadan. You want me to fast like 2 months? I can't manage Ramadan. No. The Prophet says, you must feed 60 people. The man says, I'm too poor. I have no money. I'm the poorest person I know. So the Prophet says, okay, here's some food. He gave him the food and says, here, this is food for 60 people. Go feed 60 people. And then the man says, but I'm the poorest person I know. So the Prophet says, okay, go feed your family. With the with it. It's a kind of cute story. It's a story on how the Prophet treated people. They did something sinful. The Prophet didn't like give him like a very stern warning. The Prophet just told him what the punishment is and also tried to help him out. Like, like do this, you can't do this, do this, you can't have food, okay, here's some food, feed your people, okay, you're so poor, feed your family. So from there we get the law. Then the Shafis say, at that moment, if the law applied to the wife, the Prophet would have said it in that moment. But in that moment, he didn't say anything about the wife. He only told the man, you must fast, you must feed the slave, you must do 2 months, and so on. And so the Shafis, different from other madhabs, but the Shafis say because of that, because this incident happened and the Prophet was there, and he didn't now command the wife to do the same, the law doesn't apply to the woman. It applies to the man. And so that's why you get the discrepancy between the man and the woman. Now, okay. No. No.
Dinner happens.
No.
Then would the expression be point of because the two are not related?
No.
Still not on the woman.
No. No. ويجب بسم الله. I mean, just mention that. What I'm saying is that there might be other punishments for the act of zina, but we're not talking. But talking about the act of breaking the fast. There's no additional things. The act of zina might have a range of punishments, but that's a separate discussion. No. Okay. So we didn't get very far today. Okay, so tomorrow, inshallah, must come on time before the true dawn. And then, inshallah, tomorrow. How many pages do we have lessons, Bab? Which page is in the? One? So inshallah, tomorrow we'll finish the whole Bab, inshallah. Tomorrow, just about 6 pages. We'll finish tomorrow, inshallah. Barakallah.